Thank you very much for being on today's call. Wanted to just go over a couple different things. Not for today's call. I have some good stuff that I'm working on for our next goal call. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff on goal planning that I'm doing with my agents now. I always like to share what I'm doing in my agency and doing it with my agents, and then share it with goal members, and also to coaching members as well. So I'm going to be referring to a lot of different things next week regarding goal planning, looking at a really strong finish for 2015, but also looking for a strong start in 2016. And one of the books that I've been reading and actually implementing with some of my agents is called The 12-Week Year. It's a great book, and I'm going to be talking about it next week. So not next week, I'm sorry, in 2 weeks when we do the second call for gold. That will be on the 22nd of October. So make sure you have that in your calendars and you know ahead of time that we're going to be doing that. And we're just going to really break it down. And the whole premise behind the 12-week year is so many of us, we set up our goal planning in January, and by January 15th, they say on average 90–95% of most New Year resolutions are gone. They're done. And the reason for it just wasn't planned correctly. There was no vision in there. There's no big why in there. But they really look at it as, I got all year to get this thing done. I go to the gym once or twice, and then, I got the rest of the year to lose this weight. And they never, never go back, or they get off track, or they're not perfect. So they end up emotionally checking out and saying they could just kick back in it down the road, and they just never do. And before you know it, it's October 8th, and a lot of your goals haven't been met. So I'm going to share with you how we came about this, but working with some of my team members and putting some of these strategies together, we're already seeing some great results for some of my agents. So that's one. The second thing is that, over the last, and I'll bring some of it up again next on the 22nd, but I polled a lot of we had about 30 agents in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we sat down and we did a mastermind breakfast, and we sat down and I went through with them as to what their biggest challenges are right now. What are they going through in their business? And we wrote them down on the board, and I'm going to share with you some of those in a minute. And from there, we started tackling some of the key issues. And I'll share some of those with you, because a lot of those issues that we have here in New York State, I'm sure you're having in other parts of the country. But these are things that, again, you need to put into your plan in order to get to the next level. But before I start that, I want to just kind of give a couple different updates here. Just looking on my Facebook. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, please do so. Just go to Willie Miranda. You can find me, and I'll accept you as a friend request. And I did this real estate agent safety course a few months back, and I put it out there, shared it with a lot of different real estate agents, and had a lot of great feedback from it. But back on the 21st, we had our golf tournament for the Children's Hospital. For those of you that know Coach Joey Trombley, he was in my foursome there, and myself, and I had a client of mine, John, that I sold a house to, and sold his house and found him and his family another house, and this business contact that's in my directory, Kathleen Pingalski. Had a good round. Never good to win your own tournament, so I always kind of shank it to the left and right every once in a while, but who's kidding? I'm not that good of a golfer, so we weren't in first place, but we did have a good time. It was a great time. We're looking to raise, so far we've raised over $160,000 for the Children's Hospital over the last 9 years, and we're hoping this year to hopefully get it up close to the $200,000. It'd be great to have $40,000 to go above it, but I think we might just be a little shy at that $200,000 mark, so we'll have to wait till next year for that. So good stuff going there, but there's some of my staff members there on the golf course. Again, it was a great day, and they had a lot of fun. We had over 210 people at the dinner, and we had 150 golfers. So it was a great time, and again, fun by all. These are other agents in my community that came in support. There's an attorney there, but again, a lot of great stuff going on there. There's my daughter. Actually flew back from the conference a day early. For some of you that know or don't know, she was diagnosed with lupus last year, and she couldn't play the sport that she loved and grew up with, and she got the clear to actually play on a Thursday, and I found out that she was going to play that weekend and she was going to pitch. So I was supposed to come home on Sunday and speak for Craig on Saturday, and I spoke to Craig and said, Craig, I got to go. She's pitching, and I need to be home And Craig said, get out of here. So he knew as well, and family does come first, and it was one of the things that I needed to get back to. So she did great, scored a couple doubles, a single after not playing for a whole year, and she pitched 6 innings, had 6 strikeouts, gave up no runs, and we won the game. So great stuff there, and great to be back. So that's the update on the family side. There's Craig and I in the Diamond meetings, and Lester and us in our Diamond Mastermind group had a lot of great stuff that we went over, and it was a great event. So hopefully it was for you, and I know that most people, we had a great attendance this past conference, and a lot of great feedback that I'm getting from my coaching members. But what I'm finding is that you come back with so many different things, and how do you take all the stuff that you learn at conference and implement it all? The answer is you don't. It's one of those things that you're just going to have to, pick your top 2 or 3, go for those, get them 100% in, and then go to your next 2 or 3. So let me bring up that list, though, of the mastermind that we did. And actually, we did. We had a mastermind, but this was the breakfast that we actually did this past week. So it's pretty relevant information. A couple weeks ago, we did a smaller one, but this was the larger one that we did. And if you see on here, some of the struggles and challenges that they're facing, and deals going down, time management, average sales price increasing, listings with no showings. They got listings but no showings. Being new to the area, this person here, how do you grow your business? She was struggling with that. Again, more buyers into homes, listings that are sitting, getting motivated buyers, and the list goes on and on. But if you look on it and just looking at pretty much common thread is, really focusing, making time for their business, but really trying to get these listings sold. And what I try to explain to my team, and after doing some more research for them, I showed that the average list to sales ratio in our market is almost 98%. So that means that it's got to be pretty close to the list price to what it sells for. And in order to get those homes sold and sell them fast, you can't be overpricing homes by 10% or more than what the market value is. So we talked about that, but we talked about some key strategies on how to get buyers in there. One of the main things was looking at some of these listings and pulling them up on the screen. We noticed that some of these agents had very poor pictures on their listing. They just weren't compelling enough. And what I tried to explain to them is that when you talk to a seller and a seller says, geez, we've been on the market for a month and we've only had 2 showings, well, that's not true. We've had a lot of people look at your property, and as a result of it, we've had 110 people view it online because we could track that, and they're looking at your photos, they're looking at the product, your home, and they're matching it to the price, and they're just not interested in looking at your property at that price. So we need to get better photos, and we need to get the price back in line in order to drive them into this property. So as a result, today is Thursday, but I know when we did this meeting and went over it, we had about 19 price reductions between the last 2 days, and it was a lot of it with my agents just really getting a lot more aggressive on pricing. So that's just some of the stuff on there. If you have, I'd love to hear what your biggest struggles and challenges are, and if you can just type them in the question box. It's really easy to do. Just type them in there real quick for me, and I'll add them to the to my sheet, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to address some of these concerns. But again, these are all great things that I don't care what part of the country you live in, these are things that you're either going through right now or you're going to be going through in the future. So those are some of the things that we share there, and with some great information on that. What else did I want to show? I was at a mastermind event in New England, and there was a bunch of brokers there that were there, and I don't really share a lot of this stuff too much other than my mastermind group, but I'll bring up a couple photos on there and explain them to you. This is an agent out in, I think he's Joe Watson, his name is. He's out in Rhode Island area, Massachusetts. And this is something that he gets a lot of traffic on. I know a lot of us, we have the just listed or just sold cards. We have the home down the street postcards that we use, which all of that could be done on the other side of this if you wanted to. But just to change it up, home sold in a denim by the Watson team. Or if you don't have that many listings, maybe your company does. So, or you could just say home sold in this area. You don't have to say it was by you, but you can let people know these are the properties that sold in a certain area. So I've had a few agents that have taken this, and they've been, listings that have sold by other companies. So forget about the pending or the new listing, because unless they're yours, you can't advertise that, at least in our MLS. But if they're sold, it's public record now. Why not take the pictures of the properties that had sold, put them on a postcard like this, and send them out, and put something on there, and very similar to what Craig says, these are the homes that sold. Find out what your home is worth online, visit, and give them the website, maybe underneath here, okay? He had something where he had a call to action on the other side, which I thought was kind of weak. He didn't really have, it just gave him a critique. There's Joe and his mom. Great producers, and again, where are they here? They're in Massachusetts. But I told him, I said, you could have something that's on here that has a little bit more call to action. He's got some stuff on here about, how they outperform, and, they have some percentages on there, thinking of removing, that type of thing. That's kind of vanilla, right? It doesn't really have any real big call to action. And then they did it through Every Door Direct mailing. So they sent this out through Every Door Direct. He said he sends out about 5,000 postcards. Every time he sends out the postcards, minimum, he's getting 2 to 3 listings. One time he got 9 listings out of 5,000 postcards. They send them out every quarter, and it's a great little way to pick up some business. So we have much better marketing, and if you are interested in doing something like this, definitely run it by me or run it by your coach that you're dealing with or through Craig. But send it to me, bring it to the ad clinic on Friday, but you definitely want to make sure you have a better call to action than what's on here, because this is just something that's I think could even do better, and we can definitely up it. All right, so that was a really nice feature, nice idea that I picked up. And then the other thing was I had a guy by the name of Andy Savalakis that I was talking with, and he was a coach and member of ours for a number of years. And I'm just going to the other sheet here, see if I can pull it up. There it is. What he did is he actually, as a client closing gift, so we always, maybe some people give gift certificates, some people give out, certain things that they want to give out, Cutco knives, or, maybe they bring a bottle of wine or whatever. But this is something that he's been using for a number of years that people like. They really love it. I didn't show the back of this. On the back of it actually has my business card on the very back in the plastic side of it. But what he did is he said, we have professional homes, and this is actually 2 properties that I listed and sold. So the bottom photo, if you would just follow me for a second, is says Our Old Home. And this bottom photo was on my street, and it was the actual guy that I showed you in the golf picture. That was me. That was his home. He lived there for about 4 years, and they wanted to sell it. They wanted to move closer to family in another part of town, so we listed that property and had professional photos done. And when it was done, and then we went ahead and sold them the other house above where it says Our New Home. I had these 2 books. They're little, photo books that you can give them as closing gifts. And I think it costs I'm going to show you the information so you can write down the website. It was like $10, I think. For both of them, I think it was maybe $20, depending on how many photos you have. But what was nice about it had all their pictures in there, right? So it had all their home photos in there and their own furniture in it. The property that they bought, unfortunately, was the furniture from the people that lived there previously. But still, it's a great piece that they can look at to show improvements. And to show to people if they just bought the home to say, hey, here's my new home, check it out. But also something to look back on, 5 years, 10 years down the road and say, hey, check it out and look at all the changes that we made. So that's the front of the book. And then this is just, again, you can open up, go through photos, and has all pictures of inside the house. So I thought it was a, a great idea and something that we're going to do here at Miranda. Actually, this is the first one that we did here last week, but we're going to be sending these out on every closing that we do to every one of our buyers and sellers as a closing gift. And again, we want to keep our name in front of them. We want to keep in something in good spirit for them. You could even do it to the other side of the party if you wanted to. People on the other side and say, hey, I took this little book here to remember your house with. make 2 books and give it to the actual seller that your buyer was buying from, and give it to them. You know, they keep your card, and down the road, if they ever decide to buy or sell, they may want to do business with you. So here's the information, and if you're interested in doing that, see if I can make this a little bit smaller here. But it's Snapfish Photo Book Closing Gift, and you can just go to snapfish.com and then just join and give me your username and password. And it's called a flip book. Starts at $4.99 for 4x6. I did the 5x7. So again, 10 pages, like 13 bucks. For 38 pages, like 17. And again, each page represents a photo. And I think you get 50% off. There's a coupon there that you can get 50% off if you want to get it done. Usually takes 2 to 4 days, comes quick, cheap, and something that I highly recommend. So, you know, I'm sure these are things that you can do. You could go to your, think about how you could use this, though. You know, deepening the relationship of your sellers, or, you know, people that are in your COI. Even going onto their Facebook photos, downloading some photos for them, putting a little flip book together and giving it to them. People really appreciate it, and like I said, I just put my business card on the back so that they're able to, you know, remember you and know that you're the person that gave it to them. So good stuff there, and again, anything that I come across like that, I got tons of different things that I could share with you, and but the one exciting thing, and I was going to bring it up in the beginning of the call, but I'm going to bring it up now, was that I finally completed the finishing touches, and everything's done, and my book has been produced. And I'm going to pull it up here in just a second so you guys could take a look. There's Julia's team this past weekend. It's her in the middle. They came in second place in her tournament. But in my book, it just got published, and I just received 500 copies. How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in a Real Estate Business by Willie Miranda. Great book. I've been wanting to do this since 2009, and it really just talks about, and on the back of it, you can't see it, but on the back of it, it says your essential guidebook for growing your real estate business. It just basically talks about how to avoid getting your ass kicked in a real estate business and all the essentials that you need to grow it. And basically, you know, Craig was nice enough to do the forward here on my book, did a couple pages on that. And then in the book, I talk about my life, and as far as, you know, kind of my background and how I got into real estate, and you know, how I use the insurance business and the real estate combined to build my database and to really work a lot by referrals, but also taking Craig's system, taking the Quantum Leap system to build that database. That was the fuel that really started building it. And I know a lot of you, I've shared with you, you know, the ultimate referral agent machine and how to build your business by referral and the importance of a database, and, you know, it goes on and on. But a lot of you have taken it, ran with it, and doing a great job with it. Some of you are still getting around to it. And that's one of the pillars that you definitely want to put in place. And I talk about that. Chapter 1, I talk about the lead generation pillars. And what I talk about in there is the 4 pillars that you should have in your real estate business. And I just talk about some stats and some different things. But I talk pretty much about the difference between a transactional agent and a career agent, and the importance of being a career agent, where those agents that are career agents use their time effectively, they know their numbers, they receive their repeat and referral business, they have a systematic database with higher conversion rates, they're green and growing and have high profits and have successful businesses. The majority of the failing agents that are out there are transactional agents. They just don't have time management. They use their, you know, they waste their time, poor spending habits, no client loyalty. They're lead squirrels with low conversion rates. Ripe and rotten. They're not just, you know, they're not on webinars like this and taking an hour out of their day to learn 1 or 2 new things that they can apply to their business. And as a result, they have low profit margins and agent burnout. So we talk about that in the 4 pillars that you need to have. One is your database, your COI database. The second lead generation pillar is your online marketing. So, you know, your Google pay-per-click, your Zillow, your Bold Leads, your ZBuyer, all the different things that you need to do online to promote yourself. You know, let's face it, 96% of buyers are on the internet before they even talk to an agent, so you need to be on there. The third one is offline marketing, so postcards and you know, classified ads, print ads, magazine ads, anything that you do offline is going to come back and help you build that database. And then the last one is the geographic farming. We have a whole system for that, and I'm going to be doing more and more calls like that, talking about mega open houses and some of the things that we do for geographic farming to help you do that. But I talk a lot about that in the book, and we go over the 4 pillars in detail as to what you need to do and how to set it up. Chapter number 2, I talk about the database and why that's such a gold mine, and talk about how to sort and qualify your database, and just really point out that your success or failure in the real estate business is in direct proportion to the number of people that are in that database, that when they think of real estate, they think of you. Chapter 3, we get into B2B networking, talking about how to build their business with their vendors and with their business directory. Chapter 4, I get pretty detailed onto time management. And I think a lot of you were on that time management webinar a couple weeks ago, and I got a lot of great feedback from it. Actually, it was about 4 weeks ago. It was right before the conference. If you're interested in getting a copy of that link to the time management webinar, just shoot me an email at wmiranda@mrgteam.com, and I'll send it out to you. Or you can go to willie@williemiranda.com, and that'll come to me as well. But time management is the difference between successful people and people that constantly struggle. And we all have the same number of hours during the day, so we're all in the same field. There's no shortcut. There's no test drives. We're all given the same amount of time is what we do at that time. So I do a pretty good job on that webinar going over it, and I do the same in the book, pretty much the same as what I talked about on the webinar. Chapter 5, I talk about team building and why it's so important. In order for you to go to the next level, you need to leverage yourself by building a team. And maybe that team is virtual assistants, or maybe that team is, you're a good attorney, a good home inspector, and maybe a showing agent for you, or maybe it's an assistant that you have working for you on a part-time basis or full-time basis. It doesn't matter, but if you don't have an assistant, then you are the assistant. And I kind of really talk about how to take that, because I went from a single agent to a small team to a very large team, became the #1 agent in my marketplace out of 2,500 agents, and then became a broker with doing some deals on my own, but helping other agents build their business and develop their business within my business. And that's been my success on building my brokerage. Chapter number 6, I talk about selling homes. And I really dive down into the 14-step process that I've talked to you guys about in the past. But what's the exact combo, right? When you show up to a house, do you just ring the doorbell and sit down with them and make a little small talk and get right into the CMA? Or do you actually do a tour of the house first? Do you actually sit down and do a fact finder and go through what their hot points are and what their needs are? And then from there decide, okay, am I going to take this appointment further, and then get into the marketing side of your listing presentation. And then, and only then, do you go into running numbers in the CMA. So I talk about that proper sequence and how you should be doing it from the beginning to end. So that's on the selling strategy. Chapter 7, I talk about working with buyers and just how to work with them, how to get them, how to track them, how to get them off the fence, and really talk about the buyer presentation and signing buyer contracts, and and how to really deepen that relationship with those buyers. Chapter 8, talk about testimonials and how to get testimonials, how to leverage that in your business. Third-party testimonials are awesome, but you have to have pictures with them. You have to have be consistent with that. There's a process for that. So we talk about it in Chapter 8, and I give examples of that. Chapter 9, I really get down into the operation side of the business, talking about exactly what you need to do from a listing to working with a buyer, from the time you list a property to the time you pen it to the time you close it. There's all different things that you do, just like any other successful franchise out there, that you need to do to deliver consistent results. So I talk about the operation systems and give some examples of that. And then the last chapter, which I think is probably the most important chapter, I talk about finances. And I go through and I share stories of, early on in the business when I became $125,000 in debt, and then when I started making really good money with real estate, not doing the proper quarterly planning that I needed to do, and got hit hard with that. But the book was really meant to make sure that agents are financially putting money aside for college, putting money aside for their retirement, putting money aside for their business, how to invest back in their business, how much money they should be taking out of each check to put back into marketing into their business so they can get a 5, 10, 15 time return on what they're doing. A lot of agents don't do it. They get their closing check at the end of the closing and they stick it in their personal account and they think that's their money. And it really isn't. It's only a portion of that money is for you to keep. The rest of it needs to be put into other factors and retirement and taxes and everything else. But one question that came up, and I think it's worth noting here, and I talk a little bit about it in my book, is that there's a lot of agents that they have the income fluctuation. 1 month they're doing great and they're eating steak and lobster, and the next month they're eating out of a ragu can, and it's because they have those ups and downs and they didn't put the proper systems in place to make sure that their income was consistent. So in here I talk about building a reserve, and when you have those good months, don't splurge as much as you usually do. Keep that money aside. Only pay yourself a salary, pay yourself a certain amount that you're going to be making, comfortable with, and then leave that in there for reserves so that when you have bad months, you could still take out the same amount of money so your income is not going up and down. And that's helped a lot of my agents. I've had agents come to me from other companies that were in desperate financial trouble, and we've been able to work with them pretty much just taking their income, separating where it needs to be, building that reserve account, and really having more consistency in their planning. But the other thing that I point out in here, and actually give a couple examples, is you should be doing a personal financial statement on you, at least minimum annual. Some people do it twice a year, but every month, without fail, you should be doing a profit and loss statement. Where you take all of your sales that you have, all your income that's coming through, all your expenses, and then at the end of the month, you tally them up. In my company, I have a bookkeeper that I hired many, many years ago when I only had about 5 agents. I hired her part-time, and you can get them for $20, $30 an hour. Again, it's just part-time, so it's definitely well worth it. And she came in, set my books up on QuickBooks. She took every commission check. I told her exactly what I wanted to do. She made the payments to my retirement accounts. She put money away for me for taxes. She paid my bills and actually forecast what bills I had coming up in the future. But the best part was she prepared the financial statements for me on a monthly basis. So I knew exactly where I was year over year, but also for that particular year, if we were up and down on what we needed to do. And we could take a look at if the expenses were higher, where were they higher? Was it in advertising? Was it in payroll? Was it in postage? Whatever that may be, so that we can really hone in on what's working and what's not. But you want to make every dollar that you spend a prisoner, and you want to know exactly what that dollar is producing for you. So every dollar that you spend, you want to make sure that you're getting a return on. So how it works is that, like now it's October 8th. So usually around the 15th of the month, Nancy and I meet, and that's my bookkeeper, Nancy. We meet, and she has my returns for all the businesses. So she has them down for the insurance, the real estate, coaching, and also for my rental properties. And she has everything down, all laid out, and lets me know exactly where we are to date. And then she'll go ahead and update my personal financial statement also once a year, so that we have that in check, and I can give it to my bank and have it for myself. But you always want to be looking, right? You always want to be growing. You don't want to be going backwards. And it's so important to know your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, someone else is going to know your numbers, and that's not a good thing. But you want to definitely know your numbers and make sure that you have someone looking out for you if you're not good in that arena. You shouldn't really be doing it on your own, because sometimes if you let it to yourself like I did, that was always like, yeah, I get to that. It's not important. I need to go out and sell business, or I need to, go and do listings, and I just need to spend. And sometimes I'd go a whole year without doing my expenses. And I'd have, I remember when she first started for me, she came to me in like a November, after I had put an extension on my taxes, and I owed all kinds of money, and I had to go into my personal savings and take some money out of retirement funds just to get my taxes paid. And I said, that's it, I'm not going to do this again. And I started looking in October for a bookkeeper, and I found her, and I gave her a whole huge box of receipts, from gas receipts to diner receipts and restaurant receipts and postage receipts, and everything was just in a box, cash receipts. So she showed me how to really dial down and only use one credit card for business, one for personal, have one checking account for business, have one checking account for personal, and really separate the two, and how to transfer that so that I was taking just like a salary out of my operating account for my business and paying myself a salary like I would if I was an employee of the company and if I was paying someone. And that really changed my life. So if you guys want more information on that type of stuff, I'd be more than happy to do a call with you on that, and maybe even bring my accountant or my bookkeeper and give you guys some tools on that, because I think that's something that we go to these conferences and we go to these different places, and we just don't we don't really talk about that too much. We're always talking about lead generation and next shiny new object that's out there, but we want to grow successful businesses, and the way you're going to do that is by knowing your numbers. So if you have any questions, I'm going to open it up once again on here. I don't think I've seen anyone give any feedback. I really wanted to just get a quick, even if you just have one challenge, if you can right now, just type in there one challenge that you face right now in your business. If you could go ahead and just type it in where it says questions on there, I'd really appreciate it, and be more than happy to share that on our list and be able to share that on future calls with everyone, so that we can obviously build on it and help each other out moving forward. So that's my book. So that's going to be available. We're going to be doing a launch on that, and I'll be sending out everyone an email hopefully in the next few weeks. We're going to be doing a launch so that we can we're going to do a Amazon bestseller program, so that we can obviously rank high within Amazon, and really start promoting this book the proper way. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to, if you buy the book, I'm going to go ahead and give you a lot of other free bonuses that go with it to more than offset, the whatever Amazon's going to charge us for that, probably 10 or 15 bucks for the book. But I will definitely make sure you guys are all on the email list for that, and it would be a huge help for you guys to be able to send that out. What else can we give you an update on? Video emails, I think I talked about that before. And how do we stay in contact with a lot of these buyers and sellers that we have in our databases, or people that are coming through us from Zillow, Trulia, Google Pay-Per-Click? What I've heard in the mastermind event in Anaheim was that it's becoming more and more difficult in the real estate business to be able to contact these prospects, because they're hiding behind phones, right? They have cell phones. Some of them don't even have home phones, and we're in a texting world. So video emails is what has been working for a lot of people, and is becoming more and more popular. So what we decided to do is we signed up with a company called Viral Marketing, and or you could just do it on your own and actually do your own videos if you want. But I'll just give you the concept, is where they take their list, buyer, seller, COI, doesn't matter, anyone they have an email list for, they send 2 emails out a month. The one email on the 15th of every month is going to be on the market update. So let's say October 15th, I'll be doing a market update for September 2015, letting people know where we are to date, where we were last year at this time, what the days on market are, what the average sales price is, and kind of give them my forecast of what I'm seeing out there. Going more into a buyer's market versus seller's market. Interest rates just dropped down, which is good news for buyers, or whatever, again, whatever information, but it's just a 2 or 3 minute video. I'll put you on that list so that you guys have that. And then the other video that you're going to do a month is any questions or any education videos that you could do for a buyer or seller. So any question, like a lot of us get these questions like, what do I need to do to list my house? Or, what's the best way for me to get financing? Or, what's the best financing out there to buy a home? Should I get an inspection? Those type of questions. So every month, one month you do one on seller, one month you do one on buyers, but that's a great topic and great content to be able to put out there. So you send it out to your list, you put it on your social media, on Facebook, put it on Twitter and get it out there, and that's how you're going to get known for this. But here's the key, and if you're interested in doing this, you need to have 3 components of every video. You got to have an intro, you got to have a body, and you got to have an outro. Okay, so the intro is basically, hey, this is Willie Miranda. Thank you very much for clicking on this video email today, or just on my video blog. And before we get started, I want to talk about the market updates and what's going on here in the Capital District. But before I get started, I wanted to point out 2 important features that are in this email. You'll see 2 links below. One link is for sellers. If you're looking to find out what the value is of your home, or you're thinking about selling your property and like to know what it's worth in today's market, please click this link. If you're a buyer and you're looking for properties here in the Capital District and you'd like to get a list of some of the top listings out there by all real estate companies, click on that link. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in today's topic, which is how the market is here in the Capital District. And then that's the body of it. So I go through some stats, some numbers real quick. And then once I'm done with that, the outro is basically thanking them. So, hey, thank you very much for watching my video today. Like I said, if you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Capital District, there's 2 ways you can contact me. Call me on my cell phone, 518-376-1073, or you can email me directly at williemiranda.com, right? Willie@williemiranda.com. Thank you for watching, and look for future videos. So that's it. It's a 3-minute video, and if you did that twice a month out to your list, you can even record it off your cell phone if you wanted to and be able to upload it onto YouTube and send that link out. Your responses would be a lot better. So we've already tried it now for 2 months now. Well, it'll be 2 months on the 20th of October. And we've seen a lot of interaction already with buyers that we weren't able to reach on the phone, but they're interacting by email, thanking us for their information. Please keep us on your list. We're going to be looking to sell in the spring. I probably got about 6 properties that I know about coming up in the spring that people are interested, because one of the email blasts that we said was that, hey, we're cleaning up our database, we don't want to spam you, and if you're still interested, please email us back, let us know you want to stay on the list and you value this information, or just send us an email back, please remove me off your email list in the subject line, and we'll take you off. And I got to say, very few people, there was a few people that did say, hey, I already bought a house, please take me off your list. And that really stinks, because let's face it, they bought through another agent, and we probably didn't have the proper follow-up. But looking back at the notes, it wasn't that we weren't following up, we just couldn't get them on the phone. So it probably would have been a whole different conversation if we were able to get them to watch the video and educate them, because at the end of the day, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. And those are the people that are going to do business with you, because they're going to know who you are, they're going to trust who you are, because you're educating them with the 2 educational videos each and every month. So just a good idea for you. I know I threw a lot of stuff at you on this call today, but again, these are the little things. If you could just pull one good idea out of here, apply it to your business, we're waiting for you to go to the next level with that. So that's pretty much it. That's all I had to do to go over on today's call. Like I said, I'm working on a lot of great content for our next call on October 22nd. So make sure you have that in your schedule. It's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be going over goal setting, vision planning, and how to have your best year ever in 2016. And think about it. I'm having this call October 22nd. I'm not waiting until January 1st or 15th to do this call, because we work as real estate agents, we work on a 60 to 90-day bubble, right? Properties that we're writing today, I have 2 contracts that came across my desk today with closing dates in January, okay? We're already in 2016, whether you like it or not. So that's why we have to have this planning now, so that we can get the proper planning, get the momentum, go right through the holiday season, and be running through the gates 2016 with some business and hopefully some pendings in the pipeline. So many agents right around the end of October, right around Thanksgiving, they start, making excuses. There's no buyers out there. There's no sellers that want to put their house on the market, and they pretty much check out. And instead of, celebrating the two holidays and taking a day off with your family, they make those those two holidays weeks and eventually months because they're just taking too much time off. So we're going to talk about that. And also, I had a lot of feedback from you guys wanting information on our PI event. We actually have, each and every year, we do a client event where we actually have, well, last year we gave out 280 pies to our clients, right? So in some of our geographic markets. But how we do it is basically having them come into the office and pick it up. Some of my agents go out and hand deliver it to some of their best prospects. But it's been something that's taken off very well over the last 4 or 5 years, and I've had a couple coaching members. George Lorimer out in San Diego uses it. Rosemary Nelson uses it. She's had some great luck with it in California. I got clients or coaching members, Florida, Arizona, that use it. So it's definitely something you want to take a look at. So we're going to be having that call. I'll try to do some of it on the 22nd. We probably won't have time for it, but I'll probably maybe either do a bonus call or I'll do it in November. Try to do it the first week there so you can get that invitation out right away. So if that's something you're interested in, shoot me an email. If it's not something you're interested in, then I won't do the call on it. But again, these are calls that I want for you guys to, to help you guys out and build your business and share things that I'm doing in my business, and that's how we grow. So if we have any questions or anyone has any questions now that you'd like to do, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll open up your mic if you have any direct questions that you'd like to ask me. And I'll wait a minute or two, and if not, I'll go ahead and end today's call. But so we have a few calls coming up this year. Obviously, we want to finish out the month on the 22nd, and then come November, I'm going to be doing a couple different calls there. Probably sometime, I'm going to try to make that one on the 5th, and then maybe the 19th. So put those into your calendars as well. But I'm going to do that PI event on the 5th. That'll still give you about 3 weeks to prepare if you're interested in that client event. Again, great stuff, and stuff that I think you definitely want to put in your business and invest back in. All right, so with that, I don't have any questions, and I really appreciate you being on today's call and taking time out of your business, being green and growing. And if you have any direct questions for me, please feel free to email me. Again, that email address is wmiranda@mrgteam.com. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.